Thank you all for being here. I am the only thing between you and lunch. So hopefully you enjoy this. Maybe it'll spark some conversations. One thing I like to do at conferences is meet new people at lunch. So I will offer an invitation. If you see me at lunch, please stop at my table. Let's eat together. I want to know more about more people. A little bit more about me. I'm Tim Gifford. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Lean Techniques. We are headquartered in Iowa. Has anybody here been to Iowa? Oh my gosh, that's great. I'm so happy to see that. We've got about 150 peeps working at the organization, and I know it's been tough, but we are hiring. So if you're looking for opportunities, we've got our information back there on the board back there. The other thing that I help with in Des Moines, a big community person, supporter, we help, Jody and I are a couple organizers that help organize the DevOps Days in Des Moines, Iowa. Our call to speakers ends the end of this month. So please, if you're interested in speaking and coming and visiting one of the greatest states in the country, please do that by the end of the month. And then come to the conference, even if you're not going to speak. It's in October, one of the best months of the year to be in Iowa, October 10th and 11th. So we're going to talk a little bit about revolutionizing IT from a cost center to a competitive advantage. And the first thing I want to talk about are the definitions. So hopefully, we're going to go to a little accounting or finance 101. What is a cost center? A cost center is something that costs your company money, right? Hopefully you've got some ideas. If you're an internal IT department, you're probably one of those. You're costing your company money. If you're shared services, you're costing your company money. If people aren't buying what you're selling, you're probably a cost center. The flip side of that, profit center. You're the thing that your company is making money from. A couple examples, if you're in retail, there's big retailers out there. Of course, they want the overall company to be successful, but they can also break down different areas of their business into different cost centers. So maybe they're going to, seasonal goods. They want to see how many things are selling for Easter. They might do a profit center for that. They might have it for home and garden, setting those up to know if they're making money in that specific business area. It basically allows you to create a profit and loss statement and seeing how healthy your company is. Make sense? So there's some advantages and disadvantages for being a cost center or a profit center. Has anybody ever tried to, if you're an internal IT department, is it easy or hard to get funding to do the things that you want to do? Hard. It's hard. It's difficult. Now, if you're a profit center, they don't even call it a cost anymore. What do they call it? An investment. We're going to invest in this to earn profits, right? Instead of being a cost center. So one of the things that I see is we end up spending more time in technology being viewed as this cost center. And the thing with those cost centers is they don't bring a lot. A lot of the brand around IT is really bad. Nobody likes their IT department generally. If the business people send things to IT, they send it to die. There's too many competing priorities. Nobody's super jazzed about, yes, I get to go work with IT. All right? It costs too much money. The companies are trying to reduce costs. We're feeling a little bit of that now in the market. And it's very commoditized. You've got storage, networking, compute. I can get storage, networking, compute a bunch of different places. Why do I have to go use my internal IT? On the other side, you've got SaaS companies or companies that actually sell software. I think of like Salesforce and HubSpot. These companies are amazing because they're actually selling tools to help generate revenue in your company. The sales process for those tools is way easier than the process we have to go through to get funding or time to upgrade a database version, right? Building a new network, putting new cabling in. Way easier for them to sell to the people making the money than it is for people to spend money on a cost. So I don't necessarily want us to think about how do we move. I think that the gap's too large to say, I want you to move from a cost center all the way to a profit center. But I feel like we should be able to, as an industry, think of ourselves more as a competitive advantage. How do we fit somewhere in between where we actually, most business initiatives need technology in order to get them closer to earning a profit. and we need to help the business people start to think about us in a different way. One little thing that I've done in the past is I've rebranded technology or IT departments into something I call digital products. I want the company and the business people to think of us different than just compute, storage, and networking. I want us to think about how we're going to change the experiences with our customers. So, competitive advantage, something that differentiates you in the marketplace. Right? We're not a commodity. We have something that's new and different. Has anybody heard of water? I've got a couple people who've heard of water. Great. When I think of cost center, I think of commodities. When I think of commodities, the biggest commodity that I can think of, water. It's huge. It literally falls from the sky. And we have paid money for infrastructure to create ditches, put in pipelines, put in drains, put in sewers to move it away from us because there's so much of it. Well, how much should water cost? It literally falls, it's nearly free, right? We have, our infrastructure allows us to turn on a tap and get it for nearly free, right? Well, has anybody had liquid death? Yeah, what is it? It's water. How expensive is it? It's so expensive. What is it about that water that makes it more valuable? Well, they put it in a can and make it look like a beer. You look cooler when you're drinking that as opposed to a little sippy cup, right? So this always also reminds me of this idea that your value, if you're not feeling valuable wherever you're at, maybe you just need to change your environment. The way we price water is different. If you go to a football game, price of water is crazy. If it's a hot summer day and you're stuck at an amusement park, go to Disney World and see how much a bottle of water costs you. If you're not feeling valuable where you are, go to a different location and see if you're more valuable somewhere else. So think about that and just rebranding yourself maybe a little bit. So I want to talk a little bit about how we got here. So how has IT evolved over the years? And the first thing is about a cost of technology, right? Has anybody been around back in the mainframe days? Hopefully some of us were here during the home compute days. But the costs were really expensive back in the mainframe days. There'd be supercomputers tucked away in some enterprises. And then we were able to move that stuff more to the homes. And then finally we made it everywhere. Everybody probably has a phone in their pocket right now that has more compute than, I don't remember what the stats are, but it's going to have more than got us to the moon in 1960 or whatever year that was, right? So the costs have gone down dramatically. Your experience with it has gotten better though, right? We used to have a very few people that experienced on the mainframes who would actually be working with it. The devices that you had back in those days, you'd have they weren't connected, they maybe had a calculator. My dad actually had a slide rule and then he actually got a calculator, so that was kind of a big deal for him. And then you get into the home computers. Most of us had some sort of home computing device. I'm just curious, did anybody work on mainframes, COBOL, assembly? 1, 2, I'm sorry. Let's talk at lunch. I haven't had much experience, but a little experience. Did anybody in here have a Commodore computer? Yes. The gray-haired people in the audience, you're my peeps. Ataris. Okay, a few more. Okay, so cool. How many of you actually went out and have ever recorded a TV show on a VHS cassette? All right. Some of you. Okay, who had a pager? All right, not quite as many, but that's amazing. So the technology has actually gotten into the home, and now it's freaking everywhere. It's on your phone. It's in your pocket. We had a speaker dinner last night, and the way you paid for your food was a digital experience, right? Everything's digital. And customers' expectations have changed over that same time frame. Back when Twitter first started, there was this fail whale that showed up. Does anybody remember that? Us old school Twitter extras. All right, Cameron, you were there. Does that ever happen anymore? No. Other things that have hurt us. We don't have outages anymore. Kind of. Well, this is probably the wrong group to talk about outages. Sorry about that. Some of you just left because your phone went off because there is an outage right now. But speed, our expectations of speed have changed. Like, I love Google and the way that we search the internet, but oh my gosh, now every customer expects to be able to search the internet in 200 milliseconds. Ridiculous. Personalization. Everybody expects their experience to be unique to them. Your Netflix queue. Do not let your kids watch stuff on your Netflix profile. It will screw up what the recommendations are, right? Protect that. And then also another one for speed. Does anybody do Amazon? Okay. You expect packages to be at your door in 2 days. Yeah, or same day? Ridiculous. It is ridiculous how our expectations have changed. And have you ever heard this thing about happiness? Where happiness is the difference between your expectations and reality. Like, if your expectations are so high and the reality is you don't get it. Like, if your package from Amazon doesn't come until the 3rd day, you're pissed. You're not happy. That's ridiculous. But that's the way customer expectations have changed over the years. So I really think that there's been 4 main technology revolutions that have happened. The internet, mobile, the cloud, and now we're in one right now, which is AI. Things I didn't put in that list: blockchain. A few years ago, it would have been everybody up here talking about it. I don't think it was one of those. I do think AI is. And I think every company needs to be able to have these capabilities. If you're not, you don't have the digital experiences to attract and retain customers. And I don't care if you're a B2B or a B2C. Everybody is expecting everything to be turned from atoms into electrons. They want everything to be digital. I rented a car from Iowa, right? So I rented a car. Happened to get a Mustang because I didn't need a lot of space for the week. And does anybody have a digital dashboard where you can change what your dashboard looks like, your speedometer and your tachometer? Yeah, every freaking car has that now. Every company, Ford has actually talked about how it's difficult for them to create that because they used to have a supplier for every different component within their cars. And now everything has to be integrated, and they didn't have the capability internally to do that. So they've had to try to bring some of that capability internally. And they needed that, once again, to create that competitive advantage. So how do we do that? So I'm going to break it into 3 easy steps right before lunch. The first thing we need to do is we need to build it right. We need to have the right quality practices in place to create products that don't break because people expect them to never go out. And I think we're the right group to look at this. I think the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we build it right. Has anybody built anything that nobody used? Weird. Okay? That's a complete waste. We shouldn't spend any time working on that stuff. And finally, like, build it together. So every business initiative has a technology component in place. Every part of your organization needs your help to be successful. So how do we get the entire organization aligned with this thing they think of as a cost center? That's kind of the challenge that we need to get to. So the first one, build it right. 5 easy steps. Actually, these are 5 capabilities, and most of you probably have this or are working with it. This is a select group of people. We need to do automated builds and deployments. Hopefully we're doing that. We need quality checks, automated quality checks. You've got automated tests going on. Feature flags. I want to be able to deploy constantly to production and have the ability to release on a variable cadence. I want your infrastructure to be scripted, just like your software is in version control. And I want 0 downtime deployments. Every time you deploy, I don't want your customers to be impacted. Very DevOpsy in nature. Okay, so hopefully your organizations have these 5 capabilities. If not, you're working towards that because you're here today. Oops. The second one, we need to be able to build the right thing. Agile got some of this part right, but then I think they missed a different part. I think there's 2 tracks for doing this. We need to do customer discovery and then delivery, and we need those to be close as integrated as possible. We can't just build things that we think people are going to want. We actually need to observe their behaviors. This is a product op playbook that we have helped create. It kind of talks about how to move from this project planning, where we're talking about scope, time, and budget, to more outcome planning based on what your customers are actually interested in. I can share more about that if we talk over the next couple days. And then that final step is this build it together. And I just put together kind of a slide of these, as the organization is moving from this cost center thinking of reducing scope, reducing our costs, getting things done quicker from the managing projects, to thinking about managing products and working from what are the things that we're doing over here on the left where it's technology is a cost center to where we're going to think of like our technology is embedded into our brand promise. If your digital app for your bank stops working or is crappy, you do not like that bank and may consider leaving. That is insane, but that's what, as customer expectations have changed over the years. And so our entire business models need to be aligned to the services that we help with in the technology space. Finally, a couple examples. This is hard, but there's been a lot of companies. The most famous one, AWS, was an online bookstore that now sells $16 billion plus in cloud services. Maybe you've heard of them. We work with a manufacturer. This is an old school factory that is now, they used to hate their IT department, but now we work with them and they're actually able to charge the dealers a fee for the technology tools that we're providing to them because they're actually adding value. And then UPS, and there's a bunch of other examples of companies that have gone through this digital transformation, so they're actually changing the customer experience for them. And finally, I think lunch is here. My name again, Tim Gifford. I am here in Raleigh for the next couple days, and then we're going to go to Carolina Beach. If you can help me, I'm really interested. What should I do in Raleigh for the next couple days? And then if you've been to Carolina Beach, let me know on any recommendations that you have there. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy lunch.